Right, so good evening. Welcome to the Down the Lane podcast. Not really a lot to discuss at Eastbourne Borough. No new signings or anything to talk about yet. But obviously, a lot went on in the football world this week. West Ham got relegated. Yes, we knew it was coming. And I'm sure all Tottenham fans knew that they were just hovering that hammer over the nail. And they finally decided to knock it in the coffin yesterday. So we've gone down. So great news for me. I'm really happy. Obviously, a lot more went on in the football world this week. The World Cup squad was announced. The whole Southampton spying issue. I mean, lots to talk about in football. So just thought we'd come on and chew the fat. So obviously, red hot day today. So I'm not sure how long we'll be here for. I wouldn't have thought it'd be a long one. Miles, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Yeah. I would say enjoying the weather, but I'm one of those where I moan if it's sort of cold, but moan if it's too hot as well. So, here we are. But yeah, it's been a nice bank holiday, nice time with the family. Looking forward to the World Cup coming up. So yeah, life's good, mate. Life's good.
Good stuff. And at least we haven't got any sort of, to start off with, any 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning games, right? Because, I mean, I
No,
wasn't
for
looking
now.
forward to them. So, yeah. Bob, how are you?
No, yes, very good. I am currently quite sweltering in these conditions. I think Costa del Eastbourne is well and truly in effect, but life is good. Alcoholic beverage, and we're here talking football.
And got the England shirt on, ready for the World Cup.
We got the Rooney shirt on, so we're good.
Yeah, it's the only shirts
Iconic.
I've seen, actually, in the last couple of days is either Arsenal shirts or bloody England shirts. And that's the only 2 football shirts I've seen anywhere. So, right, so let's start. Let's start with the whole Southampton thing. So, Miles, I'm going to start with you. Spying coaches knocked out of the Championship playoff. Obviously, Hull still went up. What was your whole thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's stupid from Southampton, really. I mean, they didn't need to do it. Like I said a month or so ago, I thought they'd either go up automatically or win the playoffs. I think if they'd have been in that far yesterday, I didn't watch it, but from what I've heard and from what I've heard about Hull generally, I think they'd have walked it. Personally, to be in the Premier League and they'll be £100 million better off. Instead, they're still in the Championship, 4-point deduction. Have they got a fine as well? Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know all the ins and outs of all the proceedings. So yeah, absolute shambles from their point of view. I mean, I just feel sorry for the fans. I feel sorry for the staff that obviously weren't involved in the whole scandal. Because the fans, I mean, imagine going home and away every single game, or even if you just do home games, whatever, and then the outcome of your season is that. Like you can take your club losing on the pitch to some extent, but yeah, that sort of behaviour is unacceptable from an official point of view. I mean, fair play to the FA for actually taking some action. I think a lot of people thought they was going to sweep it under the rug, maybe a fine, whatever, or maybe they'll sanction them when they come back down again, because then no doubt it would come back down again at some point to the EFL if they went up. So yeah, fair play to the FA for taking some action on it. And then also for the staff, like I don't know all the ins and outs of what happens when clubs get promoted or relegated, but I'd assume there'll be a nice sort of bonus in there somewhere probably for the staff if they were to go up to the Premier League. Obviously creating more jobs. Yeah, I mean, imagine all your season's work done under the drain because one lad under the age of 25 goes to a training ground with an iPhone. Yeah, just crazy stuff really. Just like absolutely mental. You can't really put it into words how insane it is. But yeah, feel for fans, but well done to Hull. No doubt they won't care, no matter how they gone up. So fair play to them. Enjoy 1 year in the Premier League, boys, because I don't think you're going to last much longer. I'll put that out there now. But yeah, absolutely crazy stuff. Silly Saints.
I totally agree. I think that, especially with the stats and the data and the, that's about now, you don't need to spy on people, and I know West Ham had released a statement that we actually live streamed one of our training sessions and nobody logged on, so nobody obviously wanted to see West Ham's. But I think it's a silly move of Southampton, and I think, like you say, the EFL had to kind of make a after was it Leeds done it a few years back and they changed the rules, and I think if they'd have let Southampton get away with it this time, they made a rub for their own back. And And I think obviously there'll probably be legal stuff that goes on afterwards. I know they say that there's no more routes of appeal for Southampton, but you don't know in this day and age, do you? What comes up in later dates. And but I just think it was silly. And like you, Miles, I think the EFL had some kahunas about them and dealt with it, and let's be fair, the way they've dealt with it this time, that is not going to happen again now, right? That is it.
No,
No one's going to do that again.
Yeah.
Because why, you're not going to risk, like you say, there's people will lose jobs over this. There would have been more people that would have been employed if they was in the Premier League. Players are going to lose money because they would have all had in their contracts, you presume, enhancements. The same as you lose money if you go down, you'd have probably enhancements if you go up. And like you say, bonuses and stuff like that. So, there's a lot more, I think, for Southampton than a fine and a few points deducted next year, and obviously losing the chance to play in the playoff. I think there's a lot more, and it will stop it happening again. So fair play to them. Bobbie, your thoughts?
I think, like I said, you will never see this happen again. We saw it happen with Leeds, obviously Leeds and Derby a while ago, and then Leeds kind of the whole Bielsa thing just pulled out all the Leeds scouting reports in a press conference. It's rather strange. And then obviously Southampton then admitted to the EFL and the FA that they were spied on 3 other teams that season, and they didn't win. And they only won obviously the one game against Middlesbrough. They didn't win any game they scouted on, which is yes, you can't do it, but it looked like mugs at the end of it now. I think what I've got to feel sorry for is the poor lad that was sent out by Southampton to scout all these people, because it's a horrible job for him. Like, apparently he was just an intern that they've hired just to send him out and do this job. So obviously he's facing a lot of backlash for something that he's not responsible for.
He must have known though. Like, surely, if you're employed by a football club, you know the rules. Like, I don't know. I don't feel that sorry for him personally. Obviously, he's going to get him flack, and he's been getting scapegoated. But ultimately, it would be his decision to go out and do that. So people higher up have got to take the majority of the blame responsibility and stick for it. But surely, if you're asked to do something by your employer that you just know is bang out of order, you would. It's his career to never lie now. He's not going to get a job in football probably again. Or if he does, he's been massively damaged reputation-wise. So I don't know. I don't feel that sorry for him, because he must know what he's doing.
I was just saying that the Southampton manager obviously authorised all of it. So it's gone through the board, and then it's gone from the manager, and the board have gone through it. So yeah, people's jobs are going to go here surely, because Southampton can't see their current manager in a job where he's admitted to literally cheating. I mean, I think obviously football won. Obviously, they got kicked out of the playoffs, which, as I said, went on to the FA for growing the cojones to do it, and hopefully it gives us some sort of reason to see these Man City charges, because I think everyone's been waiting for the last 3 years on them. If Southampton got expulsion from the playoffs and a 4-point deducted, it makes you wonder how much trouble Man City might get into.
It's just so bizarre though, as well, like how they've had so many games to watch back of Middlesbrough. Like, nowadays, so much access to data, etc., and you can watch 46 league games for them. They've played them against them twice already in the league. It's just so much information you can get, like Y-Scout now, all this stuff. Surely some bloke with an iPhone's not going to make much difference. If you're going to do it, at least chuck a drone up. You know what I mean?
I think my
get some hearing, get some verbal, mics around this training ground and start getting some information. You know what I mean? At least do a proper job of it if you're going to do it at all.
I think
it's crazy.
I think my favourite one out of this whole scandal was I think it was when Southampton spied on. I think when they played, I want to say Ipswich at home, and Ipswich were training at Eastleigh in the National League, and apparently there were Southampton scouts dressed in Eastleigh kits, staff kits, just spying on training sessions.
Oh, I've heard that.
No, that's real. Dear. That happens. That's quite funny.
Dear.
But no, it's still shambolic from Southampton just to go out there and cheat. It's well done to the FA, and obviously well done to Hull for getting promoted. I think obviously Miles saying that Hull are going to go down next season. We've lost all our viewers, if we have any, in Hull. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's many tuned in from Hull, but I think
They're
it was
not out.
actually the EFL. I think the FA is still investigating, aren't they? Am I not right in thinking that the FA is still investigating if there's anything that they can do?
I think they're.
But it was
I think
it was
yeah.
the EFL that actually threw them
Yeah.
out, wasn't it? So
I think the FA. Yeah, I think the FA are investigating the Southampton board and manager because obviously.
yeah.
I think I saw a report saying that the Southampton boss will never be allowed to.
But
have a
like you say,
suspension from football.
yeah. But I mean, like you say, it is silly, and it is. But there is stuff to be gained, right? I mean, I remember, you know, back last season, you know, I'd go down the club and I'd film different bits for, you know, trying to get some sort of, you know, some footage for the podcast where we might overrun it. And there were certain that I mean, like Friday was a closed session, but I was, you know, I was in there on a few Fridays or a few days when they were doing set pieces. And Adam actually said to me, you know, as soon as that ball comes out, as soon as we've stopped this, you know, that goes off. And I'm you know, I'm an Eastbourne fan. I'm not going to do anything to hurt the club, obviously, but he would have no. And I saw a lot of stuff, so I would watch, and if anything, it probably ruined the Saturday for me, because you'd watch them rehearse a corner, or rehearse a free kick 10, 12 times, you know, until they got it right, and until it was pinging in every time, and you know they were getting everyone was in the right position, and then I'd be standing behind the goal on a Saturday, watching the free kick, and I'd see how they're starting to set up, and I'd be sitting there thinking, Musa, you're not in position, or you know, George, what are you doing? You should be over there, and it ruined it for me, because I'm more worried about where the players are, and then all of a sudden, before I know it, we've scored, and I'm like, well, what happened there? Or it's been taken. So yeah, it was. So I mean, but obviously management. You know, because Adam said that to me back then, you know, management are very strict on what can and can't happen. And maybe that's just a footballing thing, right? Maybe it's that you know, you can't have people recording your training sessions. And obviously I was down there, and none of the footage was ever used, and it was only going to be little stuff. And obviously the club do their socials and stuff like that, and a lot of that's training sessions. But obviously it's only stuff that that the club or you know want to put out. So, but yeah, so that was a big loss for Southampton. Obviously with them now back in the Championship, and at least West Ham are 4 points better off than them at the start of the season, right? I mean that's
I mean, alphabetically, West Ham would have been in the relegation zone of the Championship.
I know, yeah.
4 points deducted them. So
would have probably been bottom, but we're now second from bottom, so it's brilliant.
You would have been second bottom because you got third bottom.
Don't talk about third bottom, Miles. Don't talk about third bottom. That's where we finished this year. But yeah, no. Look, at the end of the day, I suppose I do try and look at everything positively, right? So the negatives are that my two football clubs have got relegated this season. The positives are we should have easier games next year, so we should actually win a few more games, right? So I should get a few wins next year.
Someone clip that.
Yeah. So I might be doing the win double, you know, the West Ham Eastbourne Borough win double, and let's see if we can get a few of them in next season.
You've got Millwall away. You've got European ties at Cardiff, Swansea, and Wrexham.
Yeah. But at least we're going to Europe. We've got three in Europe. Millwall. I mean, you know, a lot of people have said, "Oh, do you think there'll be trouble on the Millwall games?" Of course, there's going to be trouble, right? You know, but the problem is that rivalry died a long time ago, and obviously, I was living up in London, you know, when I was sort of 17, 18, 19. And there was a lot of trouble around that time. You know, there was a lot of trouble between West Ham and Millwall. But I can actually see it that, you know, you're going to have two pensioners squaring up to each other, because it's like the old boys. Do you know what I mean? I just don't see that. And
Do you not think?
I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right, because I think that, there's been a lot gone on in the last sort of probably 10 years with, fans allocating and stuff like that, where Millwall fans have supported West Ham fans, and West Ham fans have supported Millwall, and done things like, Millwall fans have run the London Marathon in the West Ham kit, and West Ham fans have done similar things in Millwall kits. And I just think that it's kind of not what it was. Football hooliganism isn't what it was anyway, is it, years ago? So, there's going to be a little bit of trouble. You're going to have a few blokes that have had a few too many and probably, kick off. But look, at the end of the day, I'm just pleased to be playing them again. In some ways, I used to enjoy playing them. So another thing, obviously, that's happened this week is the England squad has been announced. So, Bobbie, you've got your England kit on. What do you think of the England squad chances for the World Cup?
It's definitely an interesting one. I think it's definitely not our best one. Looking back, obviously, at previous competitions, obviously Thomas Tuchel's been questioned with obviously some of his selections. Obviously, got taken no Cole Palmer, no Morgan Gibbs-White. I think they're the two of the big names that we haven't taken, and I think Madueke is an interesting one as well. There's many questions that we could, if you could ask Thomas Tuchel, you definitely would. But I think under two we've looked good. Obviously, we're only playing friendlies. We look like we're playing good football, and I think obviously everyone's kind of worried at the moment that we're going to lose in the round of 16. Obviously, we've got a fairly easy group: Croatia, Panama, and I've forgotten who else we've got in our group. Ghana. So realistically, we've played all three of them in the three World Cups. So, but the familiar opponents, we should, I think, in my opinion, top the group. Should be 3 wins ideally. I think Croatia aren't as a threat as they used to be. I think Panama will destroy again, like we did in 2018, and Ghana we beat in the round of 32, round of 16 in 2022. So yeah, again, I think our route. Off the top of my head, providing we top the group and get to the semi, I don't think we can play sort of France, Argentina, and until at least the semi-finals. So I think we've got a decent chance. I don't know if we'll win it. You know what England are like in tournaments. We've got the 2 European finals in the last 2 European tournaments, and we've lost both of them. So everyone's still kind of hurting from that. It's Tommy Tuchel's first tournament. If he wins it, give him United and let him have an infinite contract with us. But for now, I'm expecting us at least to get to the quarters and past it. I think that's the expectation for every England fan. And we'll be looking at Scotland and hoping they do well. But I think from my perspective, I think quarters. If we got to the quarters of 2022. I think we should be looking at quarters as a target, but obviously they'll be looking to go 2 steps further and bring football back home.
Miles, your thoughts?
Like Bob says, interesting squad. I mean, like, I'm not the sort of person to just start crying about players that aren't picked. 'Cause you're always going to annoy somebody or someone with an England squad. Like, you can never have a 26 players that's so far clear of a 27th one. There's always going to be controversy in the picks. But on the whole, I think it's pretty good. I quite like some of the big shouts he's made. I personally probably would have taken Palmer just because that bit of magic, he can produce like he did in the Euros final. Obviously he's not had the best season. He's been injured, etc. But I feel like if we're at a point where we're not picking Palmer in a 26-man squad, when we know what he can do. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, personally. I think I'd have taken him. Foden, I like the fact he's dropped him, personally. He's rubbish for England. He's terrible. Yeah. When's Foden ever play well for us? Every time Foden comes on the pitch, everyone's like, oh, for God's sake, Foden's on. He never does anything for us. We should drop him. That was all the narrative on the Southgate. So then when he's not picked, let's not, start making a massive deal out of it. I know he's a great talent. Obviously, he's an excellent player for City. But he's not had a good season by his standards, and he's rubbish for England. So, yeah, I don't mind leaving him home, personally. And that number 10 roles are so stacked, isn't it? That's the problem. Obviously, it's a good problem to have, but I mean, in terms of like people disagreeing over squad selection, because like Gibbs White's been amazing, but like back end of the season, but I'm not sure he's done enough longevity-wise compared to like Bellingham, Rodgers, and then Eze. Like personally, I think them three will get in over Gibbs White for me. So yeah, why is it a good back end of the season? I'm not sure Gibbs White's got enough compared to those three as an option. Madueke, I'm not sure on. I'm not a massive fan.
3 goals, 1 assist this season. I'm pretty sure. I think he's 3 goals.
To be fair, I mean Saka's not much better this season, but like obviously Saka does produce for England.
He's your big game. He's a big game player, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm just looking at the lineup now. I think looking at our centre back, we didn't take Harry Maguire, which is I think one of the big, obviously well as Palmer. I think one of the big standouts. Obviously he's been pivotal for last couple of competitions. I think looking at, I think ideally we've got to start with. It's just I think your 2 centre backs have surely got to be Gahey and Konza, so they've both been I think tremendous this year. I think John Stones is such a weird one. Like really, like I don't know.
I mean, if he's fit, he's one of our best centre backs, isn't he? Let's be honest. Like, he's done it so consistently.
They're saying Dan Burn can play left back for England.
Yeah, Dan Burn I wouldn't take it. I've no idea why Lewis Hall or Luke Shaw aren't going. I know obviously you can cover, but yeah, Livramento. I like Livramento personally. I think he's good.
He's he's very right-sided, Livramento. You got Jed Spence. I think Jed Spence is another one of your silly ones. No disrespect, I'm sure he's a nice bloke, but
I'll take a Trent.
He's played in the Spurs team that's finished 17th.
Yeah, and not even played consistently.
And your goalkeepers, Dean Henderson, Pickford, and Trafford. Trafford's never going to see the light of day in that squad, and Dean Henderson's probably going to be the replacement if Pickford ever gets injured. But that's it. And then I think Mainu, fair enough. Elliot Anderson, what's your thoughts on that? I think that's a nice one. I think he deserves it. Yeah,
he's got to start. He's
probably
great player.
Tuchel likes his 4-2-3-1, so he likes his 2 DMs and his 3 midfielders. And then nice to see Rashford back in the squad as a forward. He's done well at Barcelona this year. Ivan Toney apparently is just stat padded in the Saudi league, but I think everyone could, even Baz could, I'm pretty sure.
Settle down.
Cheers, Bob. Thanks for that vote of confidence. I like that.
I'm saying you can have a 30 goal. I think you can have a 30 goal season against some farmers from Saudi.
Yeah, all right.
Anybody could.
Well, get. I'll tell you what. I don't care if I get the goals. I don't want a lot of money for it. Just find me a club out there. You can be my agent. Find me a club. I'll go out there for a year.
How much you want to eat, Baz? Just from retirement money?
Oh, not a lot. Just enough to have a good holiday out there for a year.
Nice house.
Nice holiday. Just as long as I can cover my exes. But I think the whole squad, and I think what you've said there. It just shows that Tuchel's been a bit brave, right? He's omitted a lot of players that, or there's players that we thought he should have taken. There's players that, you've just said one there, Trent. I would always be taking Trent because
I'll take Trent.
Trent is a player that can come on and he can whip that ball in and he finds that player.
Difference maker.
And he 100%, and he can whip a ball in. And I've always said to anybody that plays anywhere near that role, watch Trent Alexander-Arnold. Watch what he does, because that is, to me, there's an optimum in every position of a player that you would want to be. We had years ago, you had the David Beckham role, you had the Wayne Rooney's, going through the times. But for me, Trent is one of them players now where, youngsters that have watched him playing and that can see him playing all the time, aim to be like him, because if like I say, some of them balls that he whips in, that the attackers don't have to move from him, right? I say don't have to move. They don't have to move off the course they are,
especially for groups as well. Against teams that are going to sit deep against us, like you can unlock a defence. I don't think he's one to rely on when we're playing against France later stages.
No, and I don't think I'll be starting him. I don't think.
Definitely not. No, Reece James starts massively.
I'd definitely have him there. That when when you need that goal, just get on there, Trent, and do your thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there. Let's be fair. There are some football players that you probably don't even need to tell them what to do. You
Harry
know
Kane
what
is
they've
one of
got
them.
about.
Harry
Yeah,
Kane's going
exactly.
to sit up top, drop deep, link a ball in, ball into the box. He's going to score. That's literally what we're going to get.
100%, but he scored so many goals this year that he's going to be confident, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
that's the thing. It's players that are confident. You look at someone like Declan Rice. Just moved 2 years ago from West Ham. Everyone slated him for going to Arsenal, saying that they weren't a big club. I wasn't one of them. And to see his reaction yesterday, has anyone seen that? His reaction yesterday when he saw that West Ham went down, he was gutted, mate. He was absolutely gutted. That's nice to see. But I think I think Rice is. I think Rice ends up captaining England. I saw him as a captain at West Ham, and I like Rice. If you watch, if you obviously as a West Ham fan, you can watch him off the ball, and you can't when you're watching the telly, you can't always, seeing games on the telly, you can't always watch players off the ball. But I used to watch Declan Rice a lot of the time, and he was always scanning. The ball's up there, but he's looking over there. Where's that player? Where's that player? And that's what I like about Declan Rice. He's a thinking footballer, and I think you need them sort of players. And I think he'll have a great World Cup. I really do. I think especially if Arsenal go and win the Champions League final next week, then
massive.
I think that just gives him and lifts him that bit above. He kind of carried West Ham. In his second last season, he carried us, and if it hadn't have been for him, we'd have gone down then. I think that I actually wondered if Declan Rice would ever leave West Ham, because that was around the time that obviously Mark Noble was leaving, and we put on something for Mark Noble every home game. There was something on. There was something to do with Mark Noble, and obviously the last couple of games. He got massive stuff. But even when they went away, so he went away to Brighton, and they put, all the players formed a guard of honour, right, when he came on, because, you don't get players that are... I mean, I think, to be fair, that was kind of like the start of it. We saw it yesterday when Mo Salah came off. There was a guard of honour. Obviously, Pep and whatever else. And I think there's a lot made of players leaving football clubs now. But I think when you have given the service like Noble, and there were times when West Ham were crap, right? We were Championship and whatever else, and he got offered better deals, and turned them down because he was a West Ham fan and he wanted to play for West Ham. So, and I just don't think there's many players like that about anymore. And I think if I'm going to say it. I think if it hadn't have been for the owners at West Ham, I don't think Declan Rice would have left West Ham. I think the owners were always going to cash in on him. I think he gave them one more season when they wanted that off of him, and I think he just saw that, he saw the division, I suppose, that they put in the fans. And it was totally different. I mean, again, if we don't move from Upton Park, there's no way in the world Declan Rice ever leaves. I honestly believe that, because I believe we would have been a better side. I think, if we'd have developed Upton Park, you talk to you guys are too young, but you talk to sort of like old guys who used to go and watch sort of proper league football and say to them, what was one of the hardest grounds to go to, and I reckon 20-30% would say, do you want to go to Upton Park under lights? On a midweek night, because it was rocking, and it was one of my favourite grounds. Well, it was my favourite ground. Another one of my favourites was Highbury, to be fair. But obviously that's gone. So anyway,
before we move on from Rice and into West Ham, I think with Rice as well, I remember him coming on to the.
I'm not doing no more.
Okay, fair enough.
He's done. He's thrown the towel.
I'll let you be the judge of that, Baz. Just with Rice, I remember he came onto the scene, was it like 2018 or when it was, and he was like a centre back. Probably wasn't the best on the ball. Like he came in quite late as well for like a young player. Or maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I don't remember him being like 18. I think he was like 21, which is quite late for like Downmans nowadays and
He
those
scored
sort of
against
players.
Arsenal, didn't he? He scored a winner against
From
Arsenal.
a corner, wasn't it? I think it was. Vaguely
Yeah,
remember it.
it
On
was a
match of the
winning.
day.
It was a winning goal, wasn't it? 'Cause I remember they interviewed him when he go, and they asked him like, "What you've just scored your first Premier League goal winner against Arsenal?"
Yeah.
I think.
But if somebody said then, like, this man would be obviously Bellingham's probably our best midfielder, but one of England's best midfielders going into the World Cup 26, no one would believe them. Well, A, because he was Irish then. Let's not forget that. And secondly, because just the progression he's shown is incredible. Like I think a lot of players coming through, everyone knew Rashford would be unreal when he first broke onto the scene. Players like Rooney, etc. But if someone like Declan Rice, he was obviously going to have a career in the Premier League. Let's make no bones about it. He wasn't some average Joe that just ended up unreal. But I think there's got to be loads of credit going to people like Mikel Arteta, David Moyes that developed him, because I just didn't see him being this good. To have to be England's probably best 5 players, I'd say at this point.
I think
it's fair play. He's fair play to him, and he's such a good lad as well. He's sort of someone you want to do well. There's a lot of footballers that are
100%.
idiots. Let's be honest, but he's a shining light now. He's a great role model to any aspiring footballer. Even as anyone, to be honest, he's such a good bloke. So hopefully he can deliver the bacon.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's a great example of a human being for me. And I've
100%.
That. I mean, we've all seen the ex comments and stuff like that about his girlfriend and whatever else, and he's like, well, I wouldn't want to be with anyone else because she's the most beautiful woman in the world.
Fair play to him.
And when when you're in that situation, I mean, I still think one of the funniest things that happened to Deck was when he became the Premiership's most expensive footballer at 105 million, and that lasted for about 48 hours until Chelsea bought Caicedo from Brighton for 110 or whatever it was. And they were talking to him on Talk Sport, and they said to him about what did it feel like. He said, I don't know. He said, because by the time I realised I was, he said, I wasn't anymore. But yeah, just he is a fine example of a human being, and that again, he obviously, you could see that yesterday, and that to me showed it all. Because listen, you can act, you can say things when you're interviewed. Oh, I love West Ham, and I want West Ham to do well and whatever. You cannot. You've got to be a Hollywood actor to show that emotion that he showed when literally he didn't just it wasn't just he turned, he threw his hand down, the facial expression, whatever, it was too good to be acting. So that actually hurt him yesterday, right? And because West Ham gave him, that's where he like you say, that's where he learned his trade. That's where he got his big move. And too many of these young players, go into the bigger clubs straight away, and then don't fulfill that potential. But that's because maybe there's too many good players around them. But he, so far a step away. Whereas at West Ham, you've got a few to look up to, but you've got people around you as well. And I think, when you get to some of these players where you're talking about the big names, like your Chelsea at the minute, there are players at Chelsea that I don't think care. And I've watched them this year, and I just think to myself, they're on 7-year contracts, right? They've got long contracts, and it's, what have they, it doesn't matter to them, and I think that, I understand why they did that because of financial fair play and stuff like that. And, Simon Jordan explained it really well on Talk Sport about how as a football club you write off a certain value of a player every year. And that would mean that Chelsea, about now, really should be in a far better position in financial fair play. So it was a gamble for the future. But I think that because of where they are now, that gamble's gone, and again they've switched managers left, right, and centre, and they just can't really find it. Talking to managers, we'll have to move on. Pep, obviously leaving City. What's your thoughts on City? Are they going to be as dominant next year, do you think?
I think,
They'll probably fall off. I mean, I'm not entirely convinced by Maresca. I know he's looking like he's going to get a job, isn't he? Not entirely convinced by Maresca. I know obviously he was there before, wasn't he? So I know the players, style of play, he tries to play the same sort of way. So I guess it makes sort of sense. But as we know, Pep's shoes massive to fill. Like, I don't envy anyone taking that job. A bit like when David Moyes came in for Sir Alex, baptism of fire. Whatever he does, he can't do as well as Pep. This is impossible.
no.
Don't envy anyone doing that job, and they'll fall off. But at the end of the day, they've got load of talent, a good ownership group behind them. Obviously, they've had a lot of charges, but in terms of like how they run the club, they're definitely a well-run club. If you ignore the legal aspect of things, I know it's dangerous. But in terms of their football decisions, they make good football decisions consistently. So I don't think they're going to fall off massively. They're definitely in the Champions League space next year. Big loss to the Premier League as well. Like, I know a lot of people really want Pep to go because they've dominated, but he's a great character, isn't he? And he just provides some good entertainment. Like even like the Come On You Eye and stuff, like press conferences. He's got a bit of personality about him, which I like. And that's the thing with Maresca as well. Like, is he a big enough personality to? You got to have both for big clubs. I know you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to have a big personality to manage like a Man United or Liverpool, whatever. But you sort of do. It's why people are getting on slots back because like he's also a nice bloke in that, and clearly a very very good foot manager. But he's not Klopp, isn't he? He hasn't got that aura about him as people say now. You know what I mean? Though, like Mourinho had that aura about him, and Sir Alex had that aura about him, etc. And I don't think there's many managers now that. Like even I think Arteta's got a bit about him, like in terms of like he'll just he'll block out the noise and he'll have like the Edison invented the light bulb moments and calling their dog win and doing random stuff like getting people to pickpocket them and pickpocket their players and having dinner, all that sort of stuff. Like he's just he's got a bit of personality about Arteta. I'm not sure Maresca's quite that in terms of he did manage obviously Chelsea. But he wasn't amazing there, was he? He was decent enough, I guess. Won a couple of trophies.
He fell out. He fell out with obviously bored there because he was chatting up City behind their backs. So I think it's big shoes to fill. I'm sure. It sounds like he's getting the job. So I think fair play to him for taking it on. I think mine and Miles' mate Jacob will be happy if City do fall off massively. No, I think from a Premier League perspective, I think there was people on Twitter saying is Pep one of the best managers the Premier League has ever seen, and there was just I didn't even want to get involved.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, we'd say would you reckon he's better than Sir Alex Ferguson?
No.
Thank you very much. Yeah, there was people saying...
he's second.
Yeah, he's second. Football Twitter is amazing. There's Arsenal fans are quite funny. I know they want the league and that, but the Arsenal fans saying that Mikel Arteta has done a better job than Ferguson did is just horrendous.
Yeah, but you're not going to listen to that, Bob. Come on, mate. That's just
I'm not. But it is just funny. It is funny, just Arsenal fans thinking they want the league now. That all their players, Declan Rice is better. Declan Rice is better than Frank Lampard and Paul Scholes. Baz, don't say.
Yeah, but you know the reason that Sir Alex is better than Pep. Sir Alex came in.
You reckon Rice will be better than Lampard and Paul Scholes? Gerrard?
In the long run, yeah. In the long run.
No. Just on natural footballing ability, no way.
If you look what Lampard, look what Lampard did as a footballer. Like he was everywhere.
No, I can't have that. Rice is going to be better than them.
I think he's Chelsea's joint scoring midfielder.
I think he'd be a great. He'd be a great footballer, but
I think
he's definitely a great footballer, but he's not that level.
Yeah, he's not quite there. Rice has got a big career ahead of him, and you never know what happened. But I don't think he's there. You got Paul Scholes who could thunder a ball from any distance. Gerrard was just known for obviously his time at Liverpool and all the bit he did there. Obviously Istanbul, defending, scoring, and he's got the accolades to his name. Obviously Declan Rice isn't quite there yet. It's no disrespect to Declan Rice. I'm sure he's going to be a fantastic footballer as for his career, but I don't think he's one of the best England midfielder of all time yet.
No, I think when you look at them players, I mean, you know, forgetting your Lampards, but even Lampard's much at Chelsea. But you know, the players that we've just mentioned there, the names of the players you've mentioned, they were players that played for clubs that stuck with their players for a long time. You know, Ferguson.
No, yeah, exactly.
Ferguson's success was that he had.
He had a key group. He had
that key group of players that were always gonna, you know, they was always there together. And they stayed together over the years, and I think that's the thing. And I look at Arsenal, and I think that there's players there that could probably do the same thing. And I'd like to, you know, I mean, did I want Arsenal to win the league? No, I don't want anyone to win the league if it's not West Ham. But you know, I'm pleased for Declan Rice, and moreover, I'm pleased for Arsenal because they've stuck with Arteta. You know, what's he had now? What's he had? 4 or 5 years?
More than that.
Six.
Is it 6 now?
He won the FA Cup in COVID, didn't he? So being at least 6.
Oh, of course he did.
So they finished like 14th, didn't they? They were all saying they should sack him, and obviously Arsenal stuck with him.
But they've stuck with him, and at the end of the day, it's produced. You know, it's a long-term plan, football, right? It's not all about. It's not all about what you do now. You know, everyone's got a longer-term plan, and. So yeah, they've stuck with him, and they've got the benefit of it, and I think that, you know, the only danger is when you stick with a manager for that long, is you get to the stage where we're talking about now with Pep. You know, who is going to go in and fill them shoes? Now, I don't think there's anybody out there that can fill them shoes today. Right? I don't think there's anyone out there. Maresca's going to get the job, and you know he will get the job, and he will be there, I think, for a year, maybe a year and a half, depending on how he does. But for me, Man City's next big manager is Vincent Kompany when he decides to leave Bayern Munich. He's got the club ethos at heart, you know, and the thing I like about City is, you know, a player like Vincent Kompany, you know, he gave his service at the time, and you know, and then when they get to the end of the contract, they don't try and sell him on 6 months before or whatever else, or a year before, you know, and try and cash in on them. They say, right, have your last year, and then at the end of the end of the season, you're going to be a free agent. You can go out there, you can get your little payday, you know, and obviously they do that with a few players, and that's you know, to me that shows respect to them players for what they've done in a Manchester City shirt, and so I like that, and so yeah, you know, but I think I think Man City's next big manager, as we call it, will be Kompany, and I just think Maresca's keeping the seat warm because Kompany's probably not ready, and maybe that was part of Pep's decision as well. It came quite quickly. I mean, obviously he's probably been thinking about it for a while. There was talk about whether he's going to be an advisor at the World Cup or whether he's going to be on TV stations and whatever else. I mean, sure, he's going to be a pundit, right? You know, who wouldn't have Pep if they could? But you know, there was talk about whether he's going to be involved in coaching a side at the World Cup. I mean, he'll never come back to the Premier League. The only way he comes back to the Premier League is to go back to Man City, right?
I don't think he will.
That's him done in this country.
No, I don't think. Pep's been around for a while now, isn't he? I think you look at no one's going to replicate what Pep has done at Man City.
No,
right? No one. I think
they can't.
No one. I think maybe look at other Premier League clubs. Someone might do the same, but I think Man City won't find a better manager.
No, he took him from sort of like the Chelsea level where like before, but like, you know what I mean. Before Pep came in, like Man City was like before in Premier League club. They won a couple of titles. They weren't like a mega club, were they? I think now they're a mega club, and that's because of what Pep's done. And that's when it's hard to. And I say about the whole Sir Alex Ferguson Pep debate. It is very tough because I genuinely think
100%.
in terms of world football managers, Pep's probably better because he's at the end of the day. Do you think Sir Alex Ferguson could have done what Pep's done at Barcelona, and Bayern Munich, etc.? I think Sir Alex Ferguson was excellent in the British game, and he could adapt his styles very well. I think in terms of that, it's hard to compare them. I think in terms of adaptability, in terms of how Sir Alex transformed a side that wasn't all that with Man United back in like the 80s. Obviously, I wasn't live, but like from what I've heard, like they weren't like some mega team back then. And to get him consistently, he didn't finish outside the top three in the Premier League, something like that. Won 13 of them. That's incredible. But I think in terms of a world football manager, I mean, it can't be easy for Pep coming. I know he's obviously got a great budget, etc. But to come into a completely foreign league to him, never played in the Prem, never managed in the Prem, obviously would have watched it, like any football fan would have done.
Yeah.
But then to do that as a Spanish man, I think that deserves even more credit. Like language barrier and all that. I know they learn English, etc. But if that was an English manager going to Barcelona and doing the same, would be like hailing him as the next, second coming of. I can't think of another great manager, but you know what I mean. Like he'd be like the Lord status. If that was say like Eddie Howe went to Barcelona and made him like play tiki taka football, we're like, whoa, this guy, you know what I mean? Like he's the next thing to slice bread.
Give him the keys to Spain. Let him
precisely. Yeah.
And I think in his 10 years, is it? I think it's 17 trophies and 17 real trophies and 3 charity shields he's won, right? So, I mean, in 10 years, that's an average of 2 trophies per season.
Yeah,
that's unheard of. That's a struggle for any. That is complete dominance, and nobody can come in and continue that. Nobody can, because at the end of the day, all right, they haven't won the Premier League this year, but the question would be.
They gave it a fight, didn't they? They gave
it a fight. But and to be fair, I think they was unlucky with the fixtures. I think they was unlucky with the fixtures because when they got back on top, Arsenal played 2 games before they played again because they had the Charity Shield, and so they knew that if Arsenal won that, they were going into it 6 points behind. So, they were whatever they were 5 or 6 points behind with like 8 games to go, and they chased them down and they got to the top, and then with 4 games to go, they're top of the league. All right, albeit goal difference and whatever else, but they're top of the league. And then all of a sudden, Arsenal go out and win 2 games of football, and City have now got to win them games of football. And I think City were unlucky with the fixtures because because Arsenal had that 2 games out the last 4. And when you know that you've got to win 6 out of 8, but when you know you've got to win 2 out of 2, that's difficult, right? Because that's pressure. And I don't care what level of football you play. I don't care how good you are as a player. That's pressure. You can't make a mistake. That's what you're saying. You've got 2 games of football. You cannot make a mistake. You cannot have an off day. You cannot go into it feeling 95 or 98% because you've got to be 100%. And that's why I think they were unlucky. But Arsenal, people said that Arsenal lost their battle. And I think sometimes, teams are better at chasing than they are leading. Obviously, you see City. How many times have City been so far behind and then gone on, the last 15 games of the season, they've unbeaten, and won 13, 14 of them. So are City a better team that, once they're chasing down, but once that chase is basically inevitable that you can't get there or you're in that situation, it's just difficult. So
here's a question, boys.
But go on.
Could it be smart if you're Man City's legal department, just take the charges now, like get this settled in the summer, get Maresca in, and then just like Maresca's obviously like a decent manager, but as you say, like company will come in at some point. Could it be smart to go down to League 2, National League, and then just get up through the divisions?
National League.
Yeah, and then have company come in when it's like he's already good to go.
They're not going to get relegated that far.
No,
but
but you know what I mean. No, they got to settle this at some point. So why not do it now when you're going through a most tumultuous period anyway, losing the best manager arguably of all time? Players going to go, like you're replacing people like Bernardo Silva, like legacy players of the club, John Stones. Like they've got a lot of new players in there now. City, like they've already really got like what Rodri. I can't even think now. Rodri, Ruben Diaz. I'm probably forgetting names. I mean, Haaland's been there a few years now, hasn't he? But you know what I mean. There's like before, like Man City's team was so stable. They've got a lot of change. I would suspect the main one being Pep. Could it not be smart now just to like wrap up these charges? Because they're surely going to get points deductions. Like you can't have 115 charges and not get a points deduction. Like Everton had like what 3 charges or whatever it was, and they got like minus whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's bound to be
6 points.
you've got to relegate them. There's no way you have 115 charges and you're going to get a fine or a transfer embargo. Like 115 individual charges. When people chuck the number around, I don't they really like think about how many. Like you know what I mean? If that was Borough and we had 1 charge, I'd be nervous. If we had 5, I'd be petrified. 10, 20. You know what I mean? 115. Like it's crazy. Like how could you do that stuff wrong? I think take the hit, boys, and then just build up for League Two.
I think you're right. And I think maybe that could have been part of Pep's. That could have been part of Pep's.
Maybe West Ham get a reprieve. Job done. I've solved it, Baz. You're not going down, mate. West Ham get a reprieve.
Baz is going to be outside Premier League headquarters tomorrow.
That's
Job
a great
done.
idea, right. Where do you start?
I've sorted it.
Where is it we start? Yeah. Can you start the petition for me, Miles? I'll be the first
Mr.
one
Sullivan,
to sign it.
Mr. Sullivan, I've sorted your problems.
Yeah, problem is he's got a few problems of his own, hasn't he? I don't think it.
Yeah, but I've solved one though, so that's better than nothing.
No, I think he might have 115 charges, but they're not related to. They're not related to.
Oh, God.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Shall we move on and discuss about the European?
Yeah,
let's
move on.
Let's talk about the European places that were decided on the final day. I think, obviously, everyone, well, definitely me and Mars were hoping on Bournemouth would get Champions League football. Alas, they finished 6th. But still, I think having Bournemouth and Sunderland in the Europa League, someone out there's put a bet on them, and whoever you are, just get yourself to a doctor's because it's not healthy.
I don't think anyone's better on that, mate. Especially at
I did see some.
I think you're right, and I don't think they'll be going to a doctor's. I don't think they'll be going to a doctor's.
They're going to Barbados,
mate. On them two. Yeah. And they didn't have to win the Borough Prize to get there. I'll tell you, they're off, mate.
True.
They're off. And congratulations to the fan that's won that as well. Obviously, you'll be flying off to Barbados soon. So enjoy your time out there. And you might meet the guy who's had a bet on Sunderland and Bournemouth to make the Europa League.
Before we
go.
Before we get into it though, like all 3 of those clubs, and I mean Sunderland obviously maybe not as much, but obviously still a great story. To come from where they've come from to get European football, like Brighton being like goal difference away from being relegated to the National League, not having a ground. I know they've done it before, but then to do it again. Bournemouth minus 17 points deduction, I think it was in League Two. Managed to stay up on the final day with Eddie Howe, and then obviously done what they've done since. And then Sunderland, obviously, not quite an extreme example, but they're an established Premier League club. Like I think if everyone chose a Premier League based on like stature of clubs, Sunderland would be 100% be in there. To then go to League One, bounce back up, and then to do what they've done this season as well. Like in this season to do it. Like I think if it was a few years' time, you sort of maybe be a bit more used to it, but everyone thought Sunderland. I certainly did. I thought they'd be bottom personally. I think they had no chance because they weren't the best side in that championship. It was Leeds and Burnley by a mile. Regis Labrie, I think as I say his name. Regis Labrie. Yeah, French pronunciation needs some work. He's done an absolutely impeccable job to get. Like, I mean, they also had a great season. I think every Sunderland fan would have been happy with 17th. So to be 7th is just absolutely miraculous. And you look at their team, and other than, I mean, maybe I'm disrespecting them because I don't watch Sunderland tons, but other than Xhaka, can you really name any players where you think they'll get a move? It's just a great unit, isn't it? It's just a great unit. Incredible job. I'll let you boys speak now, but well done to all 3 clubs.
I think I was talking to a fella, a Brighton fan I know, me and my guy Mike King. I think there's a lot of kind of rivalry in the Brighton fan base because they all don't seem to like the Conference League. I think they're all
Yeah,
expecting.
they're a funny bunch of Twitter lot,
Yeah,
though, aren't they?
yeah,
Sometimes some of
yeah,
the
they
Twitter
are.
lot need to give their head a wobble.
Yeah, I think Europe
Um,
for in Brighton's case to be in Europe two times in three seasons, 2004, 2003 seasons, 2003 seasons, especially in a this yeah Brighton in the Europa League. Yes, at that time when the Europa League, you were getting teams getting knocked out the group stage of the Champions League and then coming into it. At that time, the Europa League, now it was like, you see the Champions League teams winning it, and then obviously Brighton knew they weren't going to win the Europa League. Obviously had a good run, obviously lost 4-1 to Roma. But you look at the Conference League and some of the teams in there, and look at Crystal Palace, look what they've done. You've got to be looking at Brighton and surely thinking that they have a really good shot at this.
They're one of the
Like,
favourites. It's tough though,
yeah.
the Conference League next season. It's not as easy. I mean, maybe it's not.
No,
It's
it's not like
Brighton, but
no.
it's not as easy as Palace had it. I don't think. Like they've got some big
No,
teams in
they-
there. Like Atalanta, Copenhagen's
Monaco,
in there, aren't they?
Monaco
Yeah,
in
so
there.
there's some good sides in there.
Monaco in there now. Getafe. Are over
Oh,
there
Ajax
now.
are in there, I think, as well. Like some massive clubs.
Yeah. I think looking at the list of teams that are in there, they could go to places like they've got AEK Larnaca, obviously in Cyprus, Ghent, Angelet, Panathinaikos, Paphos. Just some of the names already that are in there. Some nice little European away days, but then you've also got the likes of Karabakh in in Azerbaijan. So it's definitely an interesting one for Brighton. But no, I think they should be looking forward to it. I think they'll definitely be one of the favourites, if not the favourite, to win it. But obviously, we'll see. But the closest European football has been to the South Coast is obviously the Amex.
So Lewis, a couple of years ago.
Oh, the Phoenix Trophy isn't probably European competition.
Yeah.
It's not a real thing.
Nah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of. There's just random teams in the Conference League. Like, I don't even know how to pronounce some of these names.
And whoever won the Fair Play League got into the Europa League qualifiers.
I remember this.
And we had Everton. Had Everton at home, right? And I made a fortune that day because West Ham were top and Everton were second. So I backed bookings in the game. And literally, West Ham had a booking in it must have been, I mean, you'll have to go back and look at the stats, but I think it was in the first 15, 20 minutes, West Ham had a booking. And literally within 2 or 3 minutes, an Everton player got himself booked. And then 5 minutes later, a West Ham player got booked. And literally straight after, an Everton player. And it was like no one wanted, because it meant at the time that basically you had like 3 or 4 weeks off and then you were playing a qualifier. So you didn't really there was no close season. And the players didn't want it. And we drew a team called Astra György.
I remember this is the boat.
And we played them twice and they beat us twice. And like part time, I think they probably train less than Eastbourne Borough are going to train this season. Probably one night a week or something. And they turned us over twice. Astra György.
There's a video of I remember there's a video of a West Ham fan livid. I'm pretty sure it was your first season at the London Stadium.
I think, we definitely played them at the London Stadium. I don't know if we played them twice at London Stadium or we played them once at Upton Park and then once at London
Trying to find out about it.
Yeah, go on, find out for us. Astra György. And I think they beat us.
They called him Astra Gugu, that West Ham. He called him Astra Gugu, the West Ham.
Oh, I found it. Romanian side.
That's it, Romanian.
Was it 2-1?
Yeah, you had the first quality round against someone from Moldova, if my flag knowledge is decent. And then you played someone from Malta. They beat you. You beat them, sorry. You went on pens. And then you had Astra György.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And then we got Astra György. And then the following year, we drew them again.
Yeah, you did, yeah. And lost again.
And we got beat again. And they turned us over again. It was like, Jesus Christ, we got a bogey side from Romania full of farmers. It's like brilliant. Yeah, there you go. There they are. Astra György. Jesus. Won a great time. But there are some, obviously there's some very there will be some very easy teams in there, but obviously when it gets to latter stages, and I know that, right? West Ham West Ham obviously won it.
We've covered everything, haven't we, really?
Shouldn't really start. See, you got me thinking about West Ham again now. I shouldn't. I've moved off.
I
West
think.
Ham.
It's too late for that.
I think we'll end here. I reckon. I think it might be time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's definitely time, guys, because we've been on for an hour and 8 minutes. We said we weren't going to be long tonight. So if you've stuck with us all the way through, thank you very much. And obviously, you must have been interested in some of what we were saying. And I hope we haven't sent you to sleep. This week on Wednesday, I will be recording one solo with basically the top 6 from last year. So I will have Scott Craze from Truro. I will have Tom Kelly from Torquay. I'll have James Lampard from Dorking. I'm going to have Brett Lewis from Boreham Wood. I've got Jacko Mulder from Worthing. And I've got Nigel from Maidstone. And we're all going to get together and just talk about how our season went last season. So I'm not really looking forward to that. But obviously there was some great stories in there. I mean, Boreham Wood going to, that probably the last 20 seconds of their season cost them a place in the Football League, right? And obviously you got Worthing, who were lower down and then went on and got Hinch back and won the league. You've got Truro who had their year in the top. So yeah, hopefully that's going to be a really good one, and we're all going to get back together. We was with you last year, obviously, run it in the run up to the playoffs. So I'll be recording that one on Wednesday.
That should be good. I'm looking forward to listening.
Yeah,
to
I'm going to probably put that out in 2 or 3 parts, guys, because it is going to be a long one. Obviously, 7 people's views on lots of different, on complete seasons. So it's going to be a longish one. So I will probably put that out in 2 or 3 parts, maybe 4. But you'll have the option to just watch the next one if you want. There'll be a link on every one. So, yeah, apart from that, guys, as I said last time, anything you want us to talk about, just, either shoot us a message or put a comment on this and give us a like, give us a subscribe and all that old jargon. And let us know. Guys, thanks for tonight. Good to see you again. Obviously, we've got to keep it going. And we are also talking about possibly doing a watch-along. Bobbie wanted me to do it yesterday. And there was no way in the world. I mean, as it is, it would have been boring, right?
It would have been fun, though.
West Ham scored 3 goals.
Yeah, I know West Ham scored 3, but Tottenham were 1-0 up. So it would have made it a boring watch along, because all the time I need Everton, who, let's be fair, Moyes had a masterclass yesterday in how not to win a football match. I mean, he obviously didn't think he owed us any favours whatsoever. I mean, he doesn't, but it was it wasn't the Everton that I wanted to see playing Tottenham yesterday, and I don't think Tottenham were great, to be fair. I just think Everton were worse than they were. So look, anyway, that's that done. But yeah, we are going to look at a watch along where we'll all be cheering for the same thing on one of the England games. So again, if you want to see that, let us know, and we will try and do that. And also, we might get a couple of you in if you want to come in for that, and we'll try and do it live as we're go on YouTube live as we're watching the game, and then obviously people can either listen to the commentary or listen to us idiots prattling on. So there we go. Anyway, thanks again for watching tonight. Thanks, Miles. Thanks, Bobbie. We're all sitting here in the dark now because none of us want to say, Alexa, lounge lights on.
Sorry, Fancy. I have to get up.
Alexa, lounge light on. Okay. There you go. See, she didn't listen first time. Anyway, thanks, guys, and we will see you all soon.
Laters.
Cheerio.